Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Soulful Abundance Festival. I'm your host, Elise Preston, and today I am so excited to be here with Samara Kennedy and Shadae Bowen. Welcome.
Hi, Elise. Thank you.
Yes, and we go way back. It's so fun to be able to share space with you all today. We were originally connected through a spiritual business coaching community, but I have also had the opportunity to be coached by Shadae and also guest teach in your group program, and just love your energy, love the holistic spaces that you all create, and I'm excited for just like the juiciness that we're going to dive into together today. And so Shadae and Samara are queer creatives, mothers, plant lovers, and are also the founders of House of Umi Wellness Coaching, where they help women of color entrepreneurs create full body abundance in their businesses by centering their own physical, emotional, and spiritual wellness. And so I know I shared a little bit more of your formal bio, but would love if you could speak to a bit of your own journeys of healing and how you found your way to the work that you're doing in the world today.
Absolutely. So I'll go first.
Take it away.
So I come from a family, my mom has MS, my grandma has fibromyalgia, so a lot of like health issues in my family. And I saw the way that those issues affected my family, the depression, the pain, like all the things that they went through, and the conventional methods which they sought and used, and how that didn't really work for them. So I knew for myself, I wanted to try something different. And that's what really got me seeking alternative healing, holistic wellness, plant medicines, all of that good stuff. And as I got deeper into wellness, I knew I wanted to create my income and my, life purpose around it. And it really helped me to start to see the link between wellness and abundance, because you can't be well if you don't have the resources and the support to be well, and just all the, ways that links together. So that's how I got here. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And would love to hear from you too, Samara.
Yeah. So my journey started back when I was in college. My mother had fibroids for many years, and her older sister had endometriosis. So reproductive issues were definitely very prominent in my family. I started to experience a lot of painful menstrual cycles when I was 18, and then it just kind of got more and more aggressive. Where I was like, bedridden type of aggressive. So that's what made me want to move into eating healthier. So I moved into transitioning to being vegan, plant-based, all that good stuff. And then I dove into herbalism pretty heavily, and then different like other healing modalities, a lot of breath work and yoga and qigong and stuff to help with my wellness, help with my physical, emotional, all that good stuff. And then through my journey, just kind of figuring out what works well for me, going through many years of fasting, going through many years of not fasting, and coming back to like realizing I don't need that anymore, and just kind of flowing with my health. And it's gotten me here to where like, wellness is the main reason why I'm here. It's the main reason, why I do the work that I do, is just wanting to help people to understand that like, no matter what you're doing, like that needs to come first, like that needs to be what's rooted, so that you can, have your cup full and be able to do all these other things that, bring you joy in your life as well.
Yes. I think it's really powerful that you both spoke so much to how your family and your lineage were a powerful source of motivation for you seeking out these new and different ways of being. And how powerful that you both were able to connect in with each other and support each other with growing a business that really placed wellness at the center. As you both like so beautifully said, we can't be well unless we are really tapping into these practices that allow us to be well-resourced and to be centering our own physical, emotional, spiritual wellness in all different aspects of our own lives. And so, Shadae, I'd love to be able to hop in first with you and really talk about this powerful framework of reclaiming full body abundance, and would love if you could explore and share with us really what this means to you in your personal life, but also how you share this in your work with your clients.
Absolutely. So the concept of full body abundance came to me because the beginning of my journey, coming from like a low income family, having a background where I didn't see a lot of abundance or like positivity around that, that created a hunger and a motivation for me to create that and to create something different and, you know, for my son and for our future. And that really led me to defining what does abundance mean for me, and not just, you know, this kind of like what's been passed down to me or this cookie cutter idea of like what wealth is or whatever it may be. And I found myself going after a picture of abundance that didn't really align with who I was. And I didn't realize I was doing that until I took a moment to figure that out. And I realized that abundance doesn't just mean to me like having material well-being, but it also means that I have spaciousness, that I'm able to rest, that I have abundance in my relationships and my health and my joy and my peace. And these are a lot of things we don't, you know, it's not weaved into the fabric of our educations and our society to care about those things and to put our well-being first. And so that's where the concept of full body abundance came to me. Like, I want this to be not only abundance that looks good, but that feels good, and where I have ease in my life. And so that's really what we transmit in our work with our clients. So we have a framework of reclaim, align, and create. So reclaim is about identifying where, you know, where are these parts of myself that I've lost or I felt unsafe to be in? And what are those things that I want to reclaim? Maybe it's, you know, following your own rhythm in your life and not having somebody else dictating your schedule, or reclaiming your relationship with your wellness and being able to take care of yourself and prioritize that. And then the next step is align. So now you've identified these areas of, okay, this is who I am, this is who I want to be. Now, how do I, you know, really integrate that into my life? And then the last thing is create. So now that you've aligned with those things, now I can, you know, create offerings and services and spaces where I'm able to share, you know, my unique medicine and my unique abundance. And so that's really what we encourage in our clients, is having them be able to identify for themselves, what does this mean for me? And like, how can I really align with my intuition of what abundance means for me?
Yes. Ooh, I love this. Reclaim, align, create. And just for audience members who maybe aren't quite as familiar with doing some of this introspective work, I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about what this has looked like in your own life or in your own business to really start stepping more fully into full-bodied abundance.
Absolutely. I'll speak first so that you could share. Our first group program that we did was very successful financially, which was a long time coming. We were really excited about it.
Yes.
And I had every reason to celebrate that moment, but I found myself, I was meeting with my accountability advisor at the time, and she was telling me all these things to do in my strategy. And I was feeling really stressed out because I had been overworking myself, and, you know, with more abundance, I had more kind of programs coming up of like, you need to work harder and you can't rest and all these things. And I realized in that moment, like, something needed to shift in my relationship with my work and my relationship to abundance. And that's really when this concept of full body abundance started to emerge, was because I realized, like, I'm not feeling abundant right now, even though I have what I've been desiring. I'm getting the result that I wanted, but I'm not feeling it. So that's really a personal point in which I realized, like, I need to be really focused on self and aligning with my own values of what I want, not just, you know, the numbers that I want or that kind of thing, but the actual experience that I want to feel.
What about you? Yeah, for me, health and wellness has been like a big part of my life, to where it's been on a spectrum for me, for where I feel there's been times where I felt very in tune and in alignment and balance with like my diet, with what I'm doing with my wellness, with my health. And it's gotten to a point where it's been an extreme. And I've been through a journey where, you know, I thought I had to fast. I thought I had to, you know, be a fruitarian, you know, be, you know, a raw veganist, like just, you know, be at these like top level, like, you know, diets, or have this top level nutrition. And for me, it kind of spiraled out. You know, I was trying to heal my body and try to heal all these different pains and discomforts and these traumas. And like, I went at it in a very aggressive way, to where like, it depleted me. You know, I got to a point where I was no longer happy. I was no longer like in tune with my body. I just thought that the only answer was to fast it out, was to, you know, breathe it out, you know, do all these, I don't know, these like really masculine linear ways of healing our body. So it threw me out of alignment, you know, and that threw me out of, I guess, the courage and like my drive and like my confidence that I had within myself. And that showed up in my business, you know, to where I wasn't feeling as confident. I wasn't feeling as adequate. I wasn't feeling as just grounded in the work that I was doing. So I had to figure out like what wellness actually means for me, and what it meant to follow my body and listen to what my body wants, and not listen to all these ideologies and these health gurus, you know, that I was, you know, thank you to every single day. So for me, like stepping back into my body and like listening to her, listening to what she has to say, feeling her out. That was how I was able to like find my balance, find my rhythm, and essentially like find my confidence again, and find my joy. Yeah.
Yes. Ooh, I so appreciate you both being so open in terms of sharing about your journey and sharing about your own process, because I know that I can definitely relate to some of the things that you were describing in my own entrepreneurial journey. And I think there is just so much pressure and societal conditioning that would tell us that the way that we, experience abundance, or the way that we experience success, is by doing things the hardcore way. Like Shadae, from your perspective, it would be like the hardcore productivity around how you're pursuing your business. And Samara, on the other side, like hardcore diet, fasting, right? Like the aggressive way that depletes us. And then being able to pause, like reassess, and know that you get to, as Samara, you were like beautifully describing, reconnect with your own body, feel out what she wants, what she needs, follow what your body is communicating with you, and allowing that to be your anchor, like help you find your way back to that alignment when some of those more aggressive strategies what threw you out of alignment. And I think, for all of us, it can be really challenging to stay rooted in that place, just because of all the noise and all the distractions that would, pull us and want us to be operating in more of that, like, just like capitalist, overproductive type of way. And I think it's so powerful, the ways in which you are both able to collaborate with each other and bring your own creative gifts to the table and weave them together in such powerful ways. And so, Samara, I love that you opened us up with this introduction to reclaiming full body abundance. And Samara, I'd love to be able to learn a bit more from you about some of the tools and modalities that you really weave into this work, from Chinese medicine to energy clearing and alignment, and explore how these tools have been really grounding and supportive for you as you all have been growing and expanding your business.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do a lot of different, I guess, like grounding or healing modalities. Most recent ones that I typically do are, I do a style of Qigong called Yin Jin Jing. It's a very more feminine, intuitive approach, which makes a lot of sense when we're talking about the overt masculinity and bringing that balance in. So yeah, I do that style of Qigong, and then I do a practice called 6 harmony sounds. And so that particular practice is to help balance out our 6 or 5 organs, essentially. So we have our liver, we have our lungs, we have our heart, we have our spleen, and our kidneys. So we have these 5 organs, and in Chinese medicine, these 5 organs are pretty much connected to the rest of the body. And when we feel certain emotions, so for example, if we're feeling really angry or irritable, and on a constant repetitive basis, that particular emotion gets trapped in our liver. So with 6 harmony sounds, I audibly project a certain sound for each organ, and there's movements that go with it as well. And that helps to clear out the lower frequency energies and to bring in more of a balance or more love, essentially, into that area. So for each organ, I project a sound out, and I do the movement, and it just helps to really ground me. The audible sounds, they're like chants, essentially. And when you chant, that in itself helps to stimulate your vagus nerve, which calms your parasympathetic nervous system down. It kind of regulates that. And that's what brings like calmness and groundedness, clarity, focus to the body. I do that with the Qigong pretty much every morning. And then, thank you. And then because, I love plants, I love herbs. I've been working with plants for like a decade. I intuitively make different blends pretty much every few days. So like whatever just I'm intuitively feeling like I need for myself or for the family, I just go ahead and just put something together. And I usually do that after I drink a cup of tea after I do my movement and breath work and stuff like that.
Yes. Ooh, and this, the way that you were describing this beautiful like tool of using the 6 harmony sounds is something that it feels so like powerful and so targeted in the ways that we can identify these different areas of the body, what emotions they're connected to, what we might be more prone to like storing in those places, and being able to pinpoint and target with the sound, with frequency, how to clear that away and clear out those lower frequencies as you described. And this, just like the whole world of energy and sound and vibration, I'm such a nerd for it. Like it just fascinates me to no end. But I'm remembering now, and when I did a trauma-informed yoga teacher training, we spoke a bit about the ways in which humming, singing, chanting, it is so down-regulating for the nervous system. And it's so calming and healing for us, particularly if we're in a state of activation, or if our nervous systems are dysregulated and seeking more of that like ease and control, and how this tool is just so powerful to be able to plug into that.
You have like the more people you have chanting and moving, oh my goodness, it's like electrifying.
It just amplifies.
Yeah, you build like a vortex. It's beautiful. Yeah.
So beautiful. Ooh, and so I'm curious to hear from both of you now about how your own relationships with your body and with your overall well-being have been evolving through business, through entrepreneurship as like such a powerful portal for our expansion, but also in your work with your clients and growing your community.
Yeah, that's such a good question. It's been evolving so much. And I think the hugest changes for myself is switching out of that hustle mode to switching into nurture mode. So instead of, how do I get to the end of my to-do list? It's like, how do I nurture myself today? And that takes time. It's easier said than done to make that shift. And of course, it's, a continual lesson and process. But just seeing that I now am able to prioritize my wellness is really amazing. And I'm really proud of myself for that. And entrepreneurship has definitely been a catalyst for that. And that's what, I talk to my clients a lot about, because stepping into entrepreneurship, as you know, can be scary and nerve-wracking. And a lot of times it's tempting to kind of stay behind the scenes and, say that you're not ready and all these things. And what's been so powerful for me has been stepping into entrepreneurship and then having that then be a support to my wellness, having clients and people that are depending on me then makes it imperative that I take care of myself versus, in the past where maybe I could get by with not really prioritizing certain parts of my wellness. But now it's like, I can't, be preaching something that I'm not practicing. And it's actually a huge blessing to have that accountability within our business.
Right.
So I know for me, learning to prioritize my wellness, like I said, and check in with my body is a huge thing. There's a practice I do and that I lead our clients through with, checking with the mind and the heart and the womb space and just listening to whatever the body has to share with us for that moment. And, how often do we really take a moment to check in and just listen to our bodies and ask what do you need? And then also being able to process and learn the language of my emotions and helping other people do that as well. That's definitely one of my gifts is kind of therapy. Therapist helping people process their emotions and in my own journey and education with that. I like to, notice what's coming up for me and then process, okay, what does this mean? So, anger often means that there's a boundary that is being crossed and that you need to create, a space where, this isn't okay. Or sadness means that we need to release something, that we're letting go of something. So just taking note of what's coming up in my body, what do I need to express or feel or, process, and then making the space to do that. And that's also important, having, whether it's journaling or somebody you talk to or a therapist or a counselor. Samara and I, every morning we do prayers and gratitude together. And we never do our gratitude until we've kind of dumped whatever we're feeling. And that's been life-changing process, to every morning have a moment where we can check in and say, okay, how am I feeling? Let me process that. And now let me move on to what I'm really excited about. And that has been really huge, even though it's a very simple thing. It, I feel like before doing that, I could go a week, not noticing something that might be coming up. And now I can't. Every morning I'm like, oh, wait, there's something here. Let's talk about it.
Huge.
So totally just really jumping into what does wellness really mean for me and really listening to that and then creating the space and the boundaries and, really having the opportunity to experience it versus just talking about it. I feel like there's so much talk, about self-care and all these things, and you really gotta practice it.
Yes, the practice is everything.
Definitely. Yeah, I was I guess I was thinking about my human design, my body graph, and a lot has come up with my open spleen center and just how I have no defined gates there, nothing's channeled, nothing's connecting there. It's just this
wide open.
Sitting there. And diving deep into that, it really helped me to go into the fear gates. And it really just showed me why I'm feeling this way. These insecurities, these doubts, these fears are coming up because of this particular gate. And then realizing, okay, why is that happening though? And then me being able to go back and do some really serious processing and shadow work and realize, oh, that's because of this childhood memory and what that reinforced in your life and why you feel this way in your adult life. So for me, human design has really just exploded my entire existence. It's helped me so much that I use it now with the clients that I work with. I use it now with just talking to my friends. I'm like, oh, that's because you have this. And they're just fun. so right. I'm just like, how do you know that? I'm like, human design, like it's everything. It's the Kabbalah, it's the Brahman chakra system, it's quantum physics, the I Ching. It's like, it's so many things put together. Like it's the whole world put together. And I find it so fascinating. It's been so helpful and I'm so grateful. Obviously you resonate because of the work that you do with it as well.
Yes.
You know about this.
100%. And I think it's so beautiful the ways that you both were able to describe within your own practice, how just like incredibly illuminating, transformational, life-changing it can be to really just be carving out that intentional space to better understand ourselves. So whether that's through daily check-ins, whether that's through using the lens of human design to tap into those energy centers and understand, like, what does this really show up like or manifest in my life? And how can I then do that deeper dive work of looking at the early childhood experiences, looking at the ways in which fears or insecurities manifest for me? And who is it that I'm really seeking to become? Like, what am I doing all of this for? And just as Shadae, as you were describing earlier, like when we are stepping into that space of being a leader, of working with clients, it really does make it so imperative to be prioritizing our wellness and doing this consistent checking in order to be able to not only show up for ourselves, but be able to show up for others in a more sustainable way. And I can't remember which one of you mentioned boundaries, but I wrote a little note about boundaries and underlined it. Okay, because in the work that I've been doing with my clients, this comes up so consistently as a challenge and a growth edge for folks, particularly for women. And I'm wondering if there's any guidance that you all might have to share around how to not only set healthy boundaries, but also to be able to reinforce them and maintain them in our lives.
Yeah, I'm in a coaching group, and our like little pod is called Badass Boundaries because we're all
so good,
very relatable.
Yeah.
And I would say with boundaries, having like flow and compassion with yourself as you're learning that process is really important, because I know for me, I can, get caught up in perfectionism and then be like, oh, well, I should have known better and all this stuff. And just realizing that it takes time to really understand yourself, to understand your rhythm, to understand your processes. And even the concept of boundaries itself is like new to a lot of us as we like enter adulthood. Yeah. Like we weren't really taught this as children. So it's like, oh, I can have boundaries. I can tell people no, I can, do these things. So I would say that's the first step is just understanding that like this often is a new concept for us, and like having compassion for like, it's gonna, you're gonna have ups and downs and not always know what your boundaries really look like. But then when you do have those experiences that, push your boundaries, really taking note and being like, oh, that wasn't great for me, and like now I can learn from that and make a different choice in the future. So for me, I know if something I talk to our clients about a lot is power hours, like versus, decolonizing our mindset when it comes to business and abundance and taking away these practices that we've just kind of automatically been doing and doing things in a way that works better for us. So power hours is like, when are you most energized? When are you most focused to work on the things that you need to work on? And, that process for me has taken years to realize, okay, these are the hours I like to work. These are the times I want to meet with my clients. And, it still comes up that I have overscheduled myself or done something where I'm like, all right, that, really kind of stepped on where I really wanted my energy to be at. And now I need to like adjust. And so I think really just being like flexible with the process of understanding yourself and knowing that, your boundaries are going to change too as you get older, and accepting the boundaries that you need to, I would say, because like what the world might present us with or what other people might want from us is often different than what we need. And so accepting like, okay, I actually need, 3 days of rest without talking to anybody. And maybe other people think that's crazy, but that's what I need in order to feel better. And for me, that's a big thing, because I'll in my head be like, oh, I should be fine. I should be able to do this, this, and this. But the reality is that I don't feel good if I push myself in that way. So let me actually just accept what my body is saying versus trying to override it with my mind or override it with society's expectations. Yeah, that's what I would say about boundaries.
Beautiful.
Everything you just said there.
Yes.
The word accept made me think about back to human design again, and like literally like that's what it's for. It's like to help you to learn about yourself, accept it, and then to love yourself. Like that's what it comes down to. And when you're able to like do those steps, and it's just like everything else just, you know, becomes easier, and like, and you're able to see better and clear better and feel better about yourself and feel more grounded. So that's definitely a thing. There was something else I wanted to say, but I think I'm drawing a blank actually.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Yes, but I really love that acknowledgement that you just shared about the system of human design, because that is really what it all comes down to, right? It's like giving us the tools to know ourselves, love ourselves, trust ourselves, be ourselves in a way where we can have more of that just full permission slip to be who we are, and accepting what we need and knowing that that's valid and that we don't need to compare it to what anyone else is doing or feel as if there is a reason that we have to like explain ourselves or break ourselves down to others. It's like, this is who I am and I have full permission to be me. And I think some of the practices that you shared, Shadae, are so helpful in terms of the language of power hours. I hadn't heard that before, but I love that. And being able to just explore like, what are the times of day, maybe days of the week even, where I know I'm able to more sustainably tap into this kind of energy, and planning accordingly, like plugging in different activities that really will allow you to maximize that energy. And when the energy is not there, like giving yourself that permission to rest, and how freeing, how liberating that is. Oh, so good. And so I'd love to be able to hear a little bit more about your current growth edges and things that you might be learning about and exploring in your own life and spiritual practice.
Totally. For me right now, I think one of my biggest processes is surrendering control of how I want things to show up, how I want things to look. And I think in this process of really centering wellness, centering nourishment, self-care, you know, in a world that doesn't center that, it can be really frustrating and difficult when you're, you know, we're here to shift the paradigm, right? And so we're being met with these circumstances and energies and people that don't get it, you know, and where we have to step up and say, you know, no, this isn't working for me, or whatever it may be. And coming up against that and things not like going the way I want them to go or flowing really easily has been a current like frustration for me. And I think the biggest lesson in this moment is forgiveness and compassion. Like I mentioned before, that's, you know, a continual thing for me. In just knowing that the more I'm able to free up space with, you know, not getting fixated on controlling or outcomes or whatever, then the more I'm able to invite, you know, what it is that I do want, and to invite the flow. And sometimes, you know, the things that we desire come to us in really weird, mysterious ways, in ways that we didn't expect. Sometimes the things we desire bring up challenges that we need to process in order to actually be the people that we need to be to receive the things that we desire. So really just being open to like a bigger expansion, and kind of like, I don't know, sometimes, you know, because healing isn't linear, sometimes you feel like, oh, I've done this, like I've come up against this, and then you get to like a bigger expansion of that same thing. Yeah, so I've been growing my fins, and like, surrendering and releasing control even more. Yeah.
So huge.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I would say, I guess for me, like back when I was my whole like fasting guru days, you know, when stressful situations happened in my life and I was in the middle of a fast, whatever, I wouldn't complete the fast, or like I would eat something that like was totally against my usual diet or whatever. And like that, I was really hard on myself about that. I think this new approach to how I treat my body and what I give to my body is now so much more balanced. And like, that's the flow that I'm just trying to maintain, or like not trying, but I am maintaining, is that like when things happen that are super stressful in my life, I don't need to feel bad about myself if I want to eat a pint of ice cream, or, you know, if I want a whole bowl of potatoes, or like whatever, fish, whatever it may be, just kind of like listening to what my body wants at this time, and just allowing her to have these things. It's not going to be a lifetime thing here. And I think that's something that I had to like realize. It's just like, okay, like I may have some days, even maybe a couple of weeks, but it's not a lifetime that I'm going to be divulging in ice cream every single day, or like eating these denser foods every single day. It's just something that like my body wants at this time. And like, I should allow that, and not feel guilty and feel doubtful, or feel, you know, that I'm doing my body harm or my spirit harm, you know, by having these indulgences. I find it to be, you know, a really good balance and a really good harmony, you know, to have these flows, because you're listening, you know, you're not going against,
you're listening.
You're not going against like what your body is trying to tell you.
Yes. And I think really, like, as I was listening to you both share, it just, to me, the heart of both of your shares really comes down to self-compassion. And it really speaks to how do we begin to cultivate more of that relationship with ourselves that is centered on that deep listening. And in addition to listening is like actually answering the call of actually, you know, leaning into what we're receiving, what we're hearing. And a piece that you just shared, Shadae, this reminded me of a conversation I was actually having with another summit guest. She's an astrologer. Her name is Leslie Tagorda. And just as you were mentioning, that experience that we have with healing, right? And it's so nonlinear. And sometimes we find ourselves, you know, experiencing things that we're like, oh, I thought I did this already. I thought I healed this. Like, what's going on? Am I going backwards? Like, you know, trying to find these answers, or maybe like beat ourselves up about things. And she shared something with me that just really landed and had me think about things in a new way. And she talked about like within our birth chart, within our natal chart, and this is the same with our human design chart as well. There's these imprints and like reflections of things that are core and essential to our karmic journey. And because our healing is so nonlinear, we often are visited by those themes, not just once, but multiple different times throughout our life. And because our journey is, it's spiralic, it's not linear. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It also, like, it can often mean that you're doing something really right. Because as you were describing, Shadae, it's like, oh, actually, when I revisit this thing again, it like opened me up to experience so much more profound shift and transformation around that thing that like the first time around, I wasn't fully there. Like I didn't fully get it. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that and bring that to the surface, because I think that's just something that we all experience, right? And we get into these thought loops and patterns with ourselves about doing something wrong, but it's like, no, this is our process. There's nothing wrong.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a Capricorn sun, which is ruled by Saturn. And something I recently came across was just talking about how, like, for me, it's a pattern that I'm going to come up against like frustrating situations that sometimes have no, you know, it's not something I caused. Like, it's just something that's happening. And that's a part of the way I learn, though, because when I hit restrictions, then that's what creates the fire in me to be like, no, I'm going to change direction, or I'm going to do something different. And if I didn't have that situation come up to create that reaction, then I wouldn't have such a strong, determination in certain areas. One of my clients was asking me about that, like, how do you have so much willpower? And I'm like, it's not willpower, it's experiences that I have that show me what I don't want. And it's so strong that like, then I start running toward.
You get the motivation towards what you want. Yeah.
Exactly. And like, just realizing like, that's not a character flaw. It's just a part of my journey, the way that, my reflection shows up in the world.
Right.
Actually, it's in your human design. She has a gate that's defined there.
Yes. Yes.
You need to like to go back, like learn from your past and like go in the right direction. Like she has that gate defined.
And it's so beautiful, like how these tools I find with my natal birth chart and my human design chart, like they're both just, different tools to help us translate this universal source energy and are communicating a lot of the same information. It's just a different like tool, a different modality, and whichever one like lands with you, whichever one resonates with you is cool, but it's like, it's here in many different forms for us to be able to like take it in and integrate it and understand ourselves at that deeper level.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, wow, we're already coming up to the end of our interview, and want to be able to have the opportunity to ask you both the question that I ask all of our guests, which is, what does soulful abundance mean to you?
Yeah, soulful abundance means to me personally, I think I shared my like full body abundance definition, but personally, it means that I have peace of mind, that I wake up and I rule the way my day goes. It means that I weave my life with intention, that, I'm doing things that I want to do and doing them in a way that feels good to myself, to other people. It means that I'm driven by a deeper spirit of life and not the programs or, all the other external things that can be led by, but that I'm really led by spirit, and that I'm really checking in with myself, and that I have the spaciousness in my life to do that, to be in practice of that.
Yes. Oh, I love that piece. Driven by a deeper spirit of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very similar. It's just very rooted, very grounded, very calm energy. I feel like because we are in this like masculine, like patriarchal world, like we need to move in a feminine, divine way, if you will.
Yes.
And balance that out.
Balancing. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all about like our intuition and following our gut and our core. And like moving in ways that feel good, and not in ways in which, someone else told you, or in comparative reflective ways. So yeah, just like, walking hand in hand with nature, walking hand in hand with the feminine, with the divine, with your intuition, finding balance, in all of those ways.
Yeah. And it's like when you open up to your soul's joy, your soul's purpose, your soul's happiness, then your external world is always going to reflect that. And that's, been a key part of my journey, is like, oh, I want abundance, but I want like all of the abundance. Like, I don't just want a stack of cash. Like, I want to feel like, my soul is expanded in every way, that I've explored all the corners of my soul that I can in this lifetime.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, well, I love being able to end on this note. I feel like you both just shared such beautiful, inspiring definitions. And I know that this conversation has been so nourishing and just so expansive for me. And I know it's going to land the same for our audience, and folks are going to be so excited about learning the ways that they can stay connected with you. And so if you could share that with us now, that would be amazing.
Absolutely. So we have a free gift that we are sharing with the audience of this summit exclusively. It's called How to Create Soul Aligned Abundance in Your Wellness Business. So this is a masterclass we recently did, and access actually ends today, but this group is going to get continued access to it. And it is
Yay.
a class where we just share more about what we've been talking about our framework of reclaiming, aligning, and creating abundance in your life, decolonizing your mindset when it comes to abundance in business, strengthening your trust in your intuition, defining, what abundance is on your own terms. And we also have a really awesome visualization and breathwork exercise a part of that. So we hope that the Soulful Abundance Festival attendees enjoy.
Yes, I'm excited about checking this out. And I'm just so grateful to you both for sharing so openly about your own journeys, your story, your experience, the things that you're moving through, because I know that's going to help so many folks who are on this path, who are aspiring entrepreneurs, who are creatives, who are visionaries. And it can often feel very intimidating and scary and challenging to make yourself visible, to step up into your space of leadership, and just the way that you both are embodying your leadership and really blazing a trail for others to come along this journey with you is so incredible. And so thank you so much for joining us. And for everyone tuning in, thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. And I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow for our next set of interviews. Be well, everyone.
Bye.